Mom thought I was boy crazy, so she shipped me off to a re-education camp. They broke me there. I learned what they wanted me to learn, to fear guys. Mom was thrilled. I should have done this sooner, she said, all smiles. Then she saw the scars. She realized she'd messed up. She begged my forgiveness, kneeling on the floor. Today was my escape from hell. It was Labor Day weekend, and Mom was picking me up. This is all because you were sneaking around with boys, you know? It's for your own good. Mom wouldn't shut up on the drive home. I kept my head down, didn't dare argue. One wrong word and I'd be back there. The thought alone made me shake. We pulled up to the house. Dad was already at the table, beaming. He held his arms out for a hug, but seeing him, I couldn't breathe. My whole body ached. I felt like I was suffocating. At that camp, you couldn't look at guys. Not real ones, not even pictures. Break the rules, and you paid. Yelling, whipping, shock therapy, solitary. Once, they found a magazine with a male model in my stuff. They hung me upside down over a pool, gagged me with a towel. They'd drop me in the water. Just when I was about to black out, they'd haul me back up. Over and over. I thought I was going to die. Ever since, I'm terrified of guys. Even my own dad. Mom nudged me. Go on, say hi to your father. You used to be so outgoing, now you're just pathetic. Her voice dripped with disappointment. I froze, then shuffled inside. I forced a smile, sat down, and started shoveling food. I wanted to show her I loved her cooking, but I forgot about my stomach. They'd pumped me full of dirty water at the camp. Now I have ulcers. They didn't want Mom and Dad to find out, so they secretly took me to the hospital and cut out half my stomach. I barely swallowed a few bites before the pain kicked in, but I kept going. I didn't want to upset Mom. Finally, I couldn't take it. I pushed away from the table, ran to the trash can, and started throwing up. Mom exploded. I made a whole feast, and you're acting like it's poison? I should send you back for some more adjustments, too. I panicked. I didn't even wipe my mouth before dropping to my knees. Mom, I'm sorry. I'll do whatever you want, just don't send me back. I grabbed her jeans, begging. Mom stared, shocked. She frowned, not saying anything. Dad chimed in. Honey, maybe she just has a stomach bug. Call the camp, see if there's been an outbreak. Mom nodded, reaching for her phone. I latched onto her hand, shaking my head. No, please, I was fine there. Don't call. Don't call. Going back would break me. It would kill me. Mom ripped her hand away, grabbed her phone, and walked out. I collapsed on the floor, repeating the same words over and over. Don't call. Dad tried to help me up. His touch felt like an electric shock. I screamed. Get away from me. His hand froze. He tried to sound calm. Don't be scared. Mom and Dad love you. We only sent you there to help you get back on the right path. Tell me, what's wrong? I can fix it. I fought the fear, looked up at him. He looked so serious, so sure. I wavered. My mouth opened. I was about to talk. Then the door slammed open. 3. All the color drained from my face. She grabbed my hair, yanking me to my feet. She slapped me hard. Dad stepped in front of me. She's still a kid. Don't do that. I felt numb. After what I'd been through at that camp, Mom's little slap was nothing. You think you're so smart? She yelled. They said you weren't eating, that you were sneaking junk food. And they said you have a boyfriend. Boyfriend. I started to shake. Mom dropped the words that made me feel like I was drowning. If you don't break up with him, I'm sending you back. Dad looked disappointed. Honey, how could you do this? I turned to Dad. I felt a wave of suffocation rising from my chest, spreading through my body. I had almost trusted him. My lips trembled. I tried to explain, but the words wouldn't come. Mom, please, there's nothing going on. I'll do whatever you say, just don't send me back. I knelt, looking up at her with tears streaming down my face. She stared down at me, confused. This is the second time you've been on your knees. You never used to be like this. Where's your backbone? I lowered my head and smiled. It was a bitter smile. What's pride compared to staying alive? 4. I used to be so bubbly, so full of life. I joked around, made friends with everyone. But I ate lunch with a boy, and suddenly I was boy crazy. She sent me to that camp, said it was for my own good. She had no idea what happened to me there. At first, I tried to tell her, but she didn't believe me. She told the staff everything I said. One day they stripped me naked and burned me with a hot iron. They only stopped when I begged them, promising never to tell Mom and Dad anything they didn't want me to say. Labor Day weekend was coming up. Mom finally got me out. I'd rather die than go back. So I tried to be the perfect daughter. But why was I still going back? Wasn't I obedient enough? I just couldn't take it anymore. I'd never even look at another guy. Shouldn't Mom be happy about that? Why did she have to hate that I became a coward? I stood there, not moving, letting Mom's words rain down on me like hail. I'll give you one more chance, a few days to prove yourself. If you act right, you can go back to school. Mom ended with that. I looked up, hope flickering in my chest. Could I really escape that camp? I promised. I swear, I won't go near any boys. I meant it. Now, just seeing a guy made me sick. My heart would race, I couldn't breathe, I'd start shaking. Mom seemed a little relieved. She nodded. Study hard these next few days. It all depends on you. You skipped 5 in your original. I stayed in my room, glued to my desk, studying. I didn't talk to any of my friends. Mom watched me on the security camera. She smiled, finally pleased. She patted my shoulder. Looks like that place did some good. If I'd known it would work this well, I would have sent you there sooner. I didn't say anything, just smiled back, trying to please her. The next day, she took me to enroll in school. On my first day back, I stood at the school gates, backpack slung over my shoulder. My feet felt like they were cemented to the ground. There were too many guys here. I felt dizzy, couldn't get enough air. What are you waiting for? Mom snapped. Want to go back to camp? Hearing those words, I recoiled. I forgot where I was. No! I screamed. Everyone stared. Mom jumped back, frowning. Enough. If you don't want to go, get to class. I had one thought. Never go back to that hellhole. Ignoring the stairs, I bolted into school. I found my classroom, my assigned desk. My deskmate was a guy. I scooted as far away as I could. All day, I kept my head down, reading. I didn't look at any boys, didn't talk to anyone. At the end of the day, my deskmate stopped me. Hey, do you have something against me? His voice was soft, but it still made me panic. I shook my head, pushed past him, and ran. I didn't hear him calling after me. I kept my head down on the way home too. Too many men on the street. I knew it wasn't healthy, but I couldn't control it. I was walking through a deserted patch of woods when someone grabbed me. 7. I spun around. A group of girls with rainbow hair, smoking cigarettes. So, you're the freak who sits next to my man in class? And you turned him down? I instinctively denied it. I didn't. They laughed and shoved me into the woods. They circled me. Insults, taunts, punches, and kicks. If you tell your parents, we'll kill you. They laughed and walked away. After they were gone, I stood up. What did a few bruises matter? I didn't care anymore. I reached my front door, pulled out my key. The small key felt heavy, like it was burning a hole in my hand. I opened the door. Mom smiled. How was school? She looked me up and down, frowning. Why are you so dirty? I forced a smile. I tripped on the way home. She gave me a look, but didn't push it. She just told me to change. I breathed a sigh of relief. At dinner, I found my voice. Mom, I'd like to switch desks. I'm sitting next to a boy. Mom looked thrilled. That's the spirit. You should focus on your studies, not hanging out with boys. I'll talk to your teacher tomorrow. I managed a week, thank you. Mom sighed. Since you got back, you haven't been the same with your dad and me. I didn't answer. I just ate my food slowly, trying to act normal. I was so tired. Maybe I was the problem. Why couldn't I ever make my parents happy? I lay in bed. It was late. The lights outside went out one by one, but my brain was wide awake. I didn't want to fall asleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the camp. It was always the same. So, I stared at the ceiling until morning. 8. After switching desks, I went to school every day. There were still plenty of guys around, and I was still on edge. I didn't talk to anyone. The other students treated me like a weirdo, avoiding me. I was okay with it. It was better than camp. One day after school, I was hurrying home when someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around. One day after school, I was hurrying home when someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around. It was the boy I'd had lunch with. He looked happy. Long time no see. I heard you were sick. Are you better now? I stared at him, fear in my eyes, backing away. He looked startled and grabbed my arm. Are you okay? Just then, Mom walked by, carrying groceries. She saw him touch me. What are you doing? She screamed. She ran over and pulled us apart. She threw her groceries at me. Eggs broke, dripping down my clothes. I felt numb. A crowd gathered. They tried to calm Mom down. Even if something happened, go home and talk about it. Don't embarrass your daughter like that. Mom just got angrier. She's a tramp. No shame at all. Mom's yelling was nothing compared to the camp's punishments. I thought I wouldn't care. But hearing those words from her made my body shake. A sharp pain stabbed my chest. I forced the words out. Mom, there's nothing between us. Don't lie to me. Mom laughed. She grabbed me and twisted my face towards the crowd. Everyone, look at what I got. This is what I get for being a mom. You're just a problem. Chapter 2 people were whispering. My ears were ringing. I couldn't make out what they were saying. But the way they were looking at me, scornful, disgusted, like I was a bug. I felt so small. What had I done wrong? Was it wrong to eat lunch with a guy? Did everyone hate me? Maybe I shouldn't have been born. Mom was hitting me in the middle of the street. She yanked at my jacket too hard. She stopped dead. The crowd went silent, too. They could see the scars on my arms, cuts, needle marks, burns. What happened to you? Mom whispered, like she was punched in the gut. And in that moment, I felt a sick kind of satisfaction. I started laughing, but the laugh turned into tears. I tried to tell you, I said, but you didn't believe me. 9. Mom rushed me to the hospital. They poked and prodded me like I was a doll. Hours later, the doctor shook his head. How did a young girl like you end up like this? Mom grabbed the test results. Her hands were shaking so hard she dropped them. Baby, I'm so sorry. I watched, cold and detached. The damage was done. Regret was useless. Before we left, I asked the doctor, I can't sleep. Can you give me something? He gave me a knowing look, then turned to Mom. You should take her to see a therapist. Mom, crying again, took me to a shrink. After the evaluation, the therapist said to Mom, your daughter is severely depressed. She's at risk. You need to watch her closely. Back home, Mom broke down, hugging me and sobbing. Dad rushed in from his study. What's wrong? Mom couldn't speak, just handed him the test results. Dad read them. Even he started to tear up. Honey, we're so sorry. We saw the ads, thought that camp was a good thing. We didn't know. I didn't know how to react. I just stared at the wall. They didn't do anything wrong. They just wanted me to get back on the right track. But what did I do wrong? Why did I have to go through this? I'm going to expose them. Dad slammed his fist on the table. I flinched. Mom hugged me tight. It's okay. You'll never go back. They can't hurt you anymore. I tried to calm down. I watched my parents. I used to dream about them finding out the truth, but it was too late. 10. I was in the shower. I drifted off. Water filled my nose and mouth. I was back at that camp, suffocating. I woke with a jolt, ran to the toilet, and started throwing up. Mom heard the noise and pounded on the door. Honey, are you okay? I wanted to tell her I was fine, but I couldn't speak. I just gasped for air. Mom unlocked the door and rushed in. Her eyes were still red. She'd been crying every day. She helped me out of the bathroom. Dad was on the couch. He looked relieved to see me. Then he perked up. I contacted a blogger online, a big name. He's writing about the victims of that camp. It's getting a lot of attention. They're going to pay. I looked at Dad's hopeful smile. I couldn't crush him. There were so many victims like me. That place wouldn't go down so easily. I just said I was tired and wanted to go to bed. Back in my room, I pulled up the blogger's post. I read the comments, full of support. I buried my face in my hands and cried. It felt good, knowing there were people out there who cared. The next day, I told my parents what I'd decided. Let's sue them. They looked worried, hinting, the lawyers will ask you personal questions. It might be traumatic. Can you handle it? My heart clenched with fear, but I nodded. I was already broken. I didn't want other kids to end up like me. Mom squeezed my hand. If you're sure, we're with you. My parents put everything on hold to prepare the case. They contacted other parents whose kids had been to the camp and explained my situation. The parents were in denial, but when they saw their kids, they understood. They joined our lawsuit. My lawyer wanted to know what happened at the camp. I closed my eyes. I couldn't speak. My brain wouldn't let me. I hated myself for being so weak. The meeting with the lawyer ended. He told my parents that the other kids were the same. Without testimony, the case would fall apart. My parents were exhausted, working day and night. They were good to me, trying to make up for everything, but I still felt uncomfortable. One day, my parents left. I was home alone when the phone rang. You never learn, do you? 11. Hearing that voice, I froze. The darkest moments of my life flashed before me. He kept talking. Tell your parents to drop the case, or else, you know the consequences. I picked up the phone, shaking. He'd hung up. I threw the phone on the ground, put my head in my hands, and curled up in a ball. I couldn't cry. I heard my breathing, the pounding of my heart. I fell into a dark place. Everything blurred. I woke up in the hospital. My parents were by my side, eyes bloodshot. They were scared. This is bigger than we thought. Mom said, maybe we should stop. We'll forget it ever happened. I knew they'd gotten the same call, but I didn't want to give up. I said, is there another way? I can do this. Mom hugged me, stroking my hair. The therapist says your mental state is too fragile. Sweetheart, it's okay. We can go back to the way things used to be. I hesitated. It was tempting. The camp would be erased. I'd be the happy girl I used to be, and my parents would love me. I'd be happy. I almost said yes, but then a sharp pain in my chest snapped me back. I could never go back. I shook my head. I have to try. Mom started to speak, but Dad stopped her. He looked at me, soft but firm. If that's what you want, we'll support you. 12. After the camp called, many parents dropped the lawsuit, but some of us kept fighting. This time, I went to the lawyer and took off my clothes. I let him photograph every scar. Since I couldn't speak, I wrote down what happened on paper. When I got home, my parents hugged me. We're so proud of you. They told the media what happened, too. Soon, the story was everywhere. The trial was set. My parents and my therapist had prepared me, but seeing those people again made me sick with fear. One of the counselors looked at me and smiled. I screamed. My mind went blank. My parents comforted me, pulling me forward. I gritted my teeth and sat down. Their lawyer asked the first question. Please describe the illegal treatment you received at the camp. My fingernails dug into my palms. They yelled at me, whipped me, electrocuted me, held me underwater. I couldn't go on. My brain wouldn't cross that line. I wanted to run, but I thought about the other kids. They were counting on me. I stayed. The lawyer pressed on. Our teachers were just using harmless methods to discipline the students. The tools were fake. Can you describe the tools they used and what they did? Mom couldn't take it anymore. She's traumatized. You're doing this on purpose. The camp's lawyer smiled. We're just asking reasonable questions. They were trying to take me back to that place, and I was falling for it. The teacher's words, the sound of the whip, the buzzing of the electricity. They all came back at once. The room spun. I screamed and ran. Mom held me, crying. The camp lawyer laughed. She's mentally ill. Her testimony doesn't count. We think she cut herself. That's not true. I shook my head, making noises. The judge announced the end of the session. Because I had depression, they weren't punished. Outside the courtroom, the sunlight was blinding, but I felt cold. Was there nothing I could do? 13. After that, I didn't sue them again. I couldn't handle it. They'd ripped open all the old wounds. Now, I was in pain. I spent most of the day in bed. My parents never left my side. But I was angry. Why didn't the bad guys pay? One day, the sun was shining, and I was awake. Mom looked tired, but she smiled. Let's go outside. I agreed. I forgot about all the men on the street. I started to panic. Mom took me back to the hospital. Seeing my parents worry made me feel guilty. Without me, they wouldn't be suffering. Days passed. I had nightmares every night. One day, Mom was doing laundry, Dad was buying food, and I was alone. A nurse walked in with a needle. She took off her mask. I recognized her. One of the counselors from the camp, she smiled. Long time no see. I tried to press the call button, but she stopped me. I fought her as she injected the needle into my neck. I felt the liquid spreading through my body. Since you were my student, I'll make this easy. She wasn't lying. Mom and Dad were there, smiling and waving. They didn't look disgusted, like I was a problem. It was like when I was a kid. I smiled and ran towards them. They moved back, and I kept chasing them. Then, a gate blocked my way. But Mom and Dad were on the other side. I climbed over the gate. Then I heard a shout. Don't move, you'll fall. It sounded like Mom. I hesitated. But then something pushed me forward. The wind burned my face, but I was still smiling. Mom and Dad were in front of me. 14. As I fell to my death, my soul floated above. I watched my parents fall to their knees, crying over my body. I saw the doctors put me on a stretcher. After some tests, they announced my death. Mom fainted. The woman who killed me was caught. My death brought the camp back into the news. The other victims spoke up. Finally, the camp was shut down. I smiled. My death had saved so many lives. It was worth it. After taking care of things, my parents became volunteers at an orphanage. They gave their love and support to the kids. It made me happy to see them playing with the kids. I floated over to them. I forgive you, I whispered. But don't do this again. Everyone's life slowly returned to normal. It was time for me to move on. As the spirits took me away, I looked back. The sky was clear, without a cloud.